Kitty Devilbus with the Frederick County Department of Aging, and today we're going to talk about ways we can stretch our food dollars. I'm going to make 3 different food items today. You have all the recipes, and like Kathy said, we're going to have an opportunity to taste them as well. One of the things that we did with this program was looking at the SNAP program, the Supplemental Nutrition Program, and looking at some of the food items that we can purchase with those SNAP benefits. For older adults, it's usually about $16, which doesn't seem like a lot of money. And sometimes people will say, well, is that really worth the effort? But it is. Each of these shopping orders over here cost me about $16. And these items are actually listed on the handout that you have from the Maryland Food Bank. And there are a lot of good foods there. And again, it's to supplement. So it's 16, I like to think of it as 16 extra dollars to use when you're shopping. And you can pick up things that you might not normally purchase. So if you have any questions about those at the end of the program, we can take a look at those individually. The first thing I'm going to make today is a chili. There's no meat in this chili, although you could add it if you prefer it that way. But we're starting out with canned black beans, and we just dump the can. I love this one, and I dumped the lid in there too. That gives you some, if you don't fish that out, that's going to give you some extra minerals. Now, I don't think there'll be too much fiber in the lid, but maybe some iron. And a can of tomatoes. When we're shopping for fruits and vegetables and we're looking at the canned items, I suggest you shop high or you shop low. And that means high on the shelf or low on the shelf, because that's where the less expensive food items are located. That middle shelf right there at eye level is the one that is the highest priced items, and it's the most profit for the store. So that's the one they want you to pick. I found the diced tomatoes with no salt added way up high on the very top shelf. So you might need to ask for some help to get those. And you know, you get down on the bottom shelf and it's hard to get back up again. So that's what store personnel are there to help you with, to get those. But that's where the least expensive ones are. So we're going to dump in a can of tomatoes. And the ones I picked, as I said, no salt added, but you can pick them. There's lots of varieties of tomatoes. They come already seasoned if you like them spicy. They come with different flavorings. This time we're going to remember not to put the lid in. Now, how easy is this? And actually, I am going to add some meat. I have some canned chicken, and that's one of the items that that was shared with the Maryland Food Bank, is shared with us, chicken and tuna. And we have some tuna for you to take with you today. These are also good items to have on your shelf in the event of an emergency. We're going to drain the liquid off of that. Has everyone seen the canned chicken products? Yeah. It looks like tuna. It's chunky like tuna, but it's white meat chicken. We're dumping that in there. Stir it up a little bit, get it on the stove to heat. This is an easy one to make. It's not making a huge quantity. You know, when you make chili, sometimes you just get huge pots. But this is enough for 3 to 4 servings. So it's kind of doable as far as eating. And then the last thing we're going to pop in there is some chili powder. You could add other things to this, whatever you like. I'm just going to put a little bit in there because the last time I made this, people said, whoa, that's a little spicy, but that's the way I like it. And we're just going to let this sit, and it's going to cook while we do the other food items. You could also do this. You could add a can of corn to this. What other things could you put in there? Onions. You could chop some onion and put in there. You could add as much or as little as you like. And that's the nice thing. This is all off the shelf, so it's whatever's in there. You could make other soups as well. When I was a kid, we would go away to camp, and we would have hobo soup. Everybody brought a can of soup. and we mixed them all together. Now it's kind of disgusting to think about. But you know, it always turned out. It was always pretty good, except for that one kid who always brought the chicken noodle, and everybody else had brought vegetable. We're going to let that heat. We're going to use beans again. Beans are an excellent source of protein, and it's an inexpensive source of protein. So I really encourage you to look at that. It also is full of fiber, and we need more fiber in our diet. We're going to drain this liquid off, and we have 2 cans of these. And again, you have this recipe as well. There we go. You could use any kind of bean, whatever one you like. And when you're shopping for beans, again, look for the store brand. They're less expensive. This store brand I purchased was 89 cents a can. However, the name brand, the one that's probably most popular, was $1.25 a can. So that's a pretty significant difference. So these happen to be the white kidney beans, or the cannellini beans. And the seasoning for this is really pretty simple. We're just going to take 1/4 of a lemon. And again, you can just kind of guesstimate. And we're going to squeeze that juice over it. I'm putting my hand under it because I don't want anybody to bite into a seed later when you try this. The little lemon juice is a really great way to add some flavor to it, and it doesn't add any calories. You can add some olive oil to this if you'd like to add that to the dressing. We're going to add some tomatoes to this. These are just whole cherry tomatoes. These are a little expensive right now, but how many people have gardens or have a potted cherry tomato plant on their patio? Yeah, and it's going to take off, and you're going to just be inundated with these things, aren't you? This is one good way to use them up. Those cherry tomato plants just keep popping up, and they'll come back. It seems like they come back every year, but they're tasty, and they're so handy because they just dump right in, and you don't have to chop them up. This time I'm adding some canned tuna. Again, it's an excellent source of protein, and it's pretty inexpensive. We're just going to mix these items together.
Is that white tuna or regular?
This is chunk white tuna in water. And again, that can be your choice, but by choosing the white tuna in water, you're not having that added oil and those added calories to it. And we're just going to mix this together. The tomatoes add some nice bright color to it, so it doesn't look so bland when you're popping it on. And we've got some pretty lettuce there. And we can just dish out some onto a bed of lettuce. And you've got a terrific meal. Again, this is pretty low calorie, high in protein. You've got the beans and the tuna for that. And it's easy to do. And this will keep in the fridge for a couple of days for you too, so you don't have to eat it all at once. It's going to hold up nicely. You could add some garlic to this or other spices as you like. I like chopping fresh parsley and adding to it, again, just because it adds some pretty color. Cilantro would be really good with it. It would add some flavor. But any herb that you're growing on the windowsill and you like the flavor of would certainly enhance this. Any questions about this? Let's take a look at those papers we have. I gave you a handout, and there's some 10 tips. That first page is 10 tips for eating on a budget and stretching food dollars. The number one listed there is planning, and that's the important one. Thinking ahead, knowing what you're going to buy, having a plan when you go to the grocery store. How many people have gone to the grocery store hungry, without a list, and walked out with a huge basket full of stuff? Yeah, I'm guilty. The worst time for me to shop is on my way home from work. I'm hungry, I'm tired, and I just grab whatever looks good to me. And it's not necessarily what I need. recommend taking a look at the circulars. Today's Wednesday. When I picked the paper up this morning, it was stuffed full of all the grocery store circulars. This is when the sales are announced, and sometimes there's coupons in there as well. So we want to compare our prices as we shop. We want to look at what's on sale, use that to start our grocery list. Take a look at the convenience foods. Remember when I said shopping in the middle of the aisle is the most expensive foods? Often those are also the most convenient. Those are the things that you can take right off the shelf and eat. But that convenience has a price. And if you have the time to make it from scratch or to make it from components, it's an easy way to save additional money. You can do like I did and cook it once, make a big batch of soup or stew, and then divide it into smaller portions. So we're going to cook once, eat often. We're going to buy in season. This is a great time. You know, there's some some flyers there from the Maryland Department of Agriculture listing the farmers markets in Maryland. And there's a number of them here in Frederick County. Those are great places to get fresh produce. And I encourage you to visit the markets and take advantage of the fresh fruits and vegetables that are there right now. The Urbana Farmers Market meets here right outside the library doors on Sundays from 11 to about 2. You're right, that one is not listed in the brochure. Most of the farmers markets listed in the brochure are the ones that participate with the Senior Farmers Market Coupon Program and with the WIC fruits and vegetable vouchers. So that's, I guess, the criteria to get in that particular flyer. But other communities have smaller markets as well that might not be listed. And there's farmers, you know, farmers have produce stands along the side of the road. So those are also good places to get those fresh tomatoes and corn and melons that are coming into season. Buying in bulk, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. If we're buying in bulk, we want to think about buying only the amount we can use in a reasonable amount of time. It doesn't do much good to buy a bushel of tomatoes if we can only eat 6 of them, or we're not planning to can them. But that's also an opportunity to perhaps buy with a friend and split the purchases and take advantage of the savings that bulk buying provides, and sharing that savings with a neighbor or a friend. On the back of that page, I've included a menu for the week. I'm guilty, I don't do this all the time, but this is a great way, particularly if you really want to control your food budget, is to make a menu. Decide what you're going to serve each day, and list it and keep it up on the fridge. This is also, I like to suggest that starting with a blank one, and if you're not sure what you are spending for food, put this up and write your menus in or write what you've eaten as the week goes through. And to do that for a couple of weeks, you may see a pattern. You may see that that you're relying on a particular food item more than we should, or you might also see that you're missing things, like not having enough dairy in your diet. You want to think about how you might add that. So that's a good way to do kind of a food diary to start your nutrition planning. The next flyer is one, Foods by Season. And this is a great tool to take a look at what produce, particularly produce, is available in what season. And by shopping by season, we're also shopping the lowest prices generally. Any questions about those handouts that I had? The next one, 20 shopping hints can save you $1,000 a year. And I stand by that. Each one of those shopping hints could save you each of them could save about $1. That's about $20. And if you were able to do that each week, that's a significant chunk of change there. And just to look over a couple of those, making the shopping list, so important. But before you make that list, take a look in the garbage can and see what we're throwing away. You know, I do that periodically. I get the chore of cleaning the fridge and removing some of the science projects that grow in the back of our refrigerator. And we take a look at what we've thrown away. What didn't we use? Shop after eating so we don't have impulse purchases. Using coupons. My caution is only use coupons for products that you normally buy. Sometimes we get kind of sucked into clipping all the coupons and buying those items because it's $1 off, but I never use it again, or never use it. It's also a good way to try a product, to use that coupon if you're kind of curious about something and want to try it for the first time. Check the expiration dates. We want to buy something that has the longest shelf life. Also want to caution you that the expiration dates are sometimes there simply to fulfill a rule. We had a recent discussion in the office because we had some bottles of water that had expired. And then we got to thinking about it. How can water expire? It's sealed up in a bottle. And so inquiring minds wanted to know, and we found out that it stems from a law that was established in New Jersey. And any food that's sold in a grocery store has to have an expiration date. So water bottlers arbitrarily said water is going to expire in 2 years. Stamp that on the bottle so that they can sell their product. I'm pretty sure that if we open a bottle of water that's 3 years old, it's still going to taste like water and it's not going to have gone bad. So, expiration dates are there as guidelines. And if you're particularly interested in an expiration date, there are websites and resources to confirm how long you can keep a product.
This I got from my mother on a meat product. Don't trust it.
It's a good point. Meat products are stamped with a sell-by date, and sometimes unscrupulous stores will change that label and to extend it. I think we'd see less of that now, but and that actually can be to your advantage because some stores now will mark products down if the expiration date is close. So maybe the day or two before a meat product sell-by date expires, they will mark that product down 30%. But you need to use caution when you purchase those. If a staple is on sale and it's something you use a lot, that's a good time to stock up. But most grocery stores have sales on products about every quarter. So about every 12 weeks. If flour is on sale this week, you can pretty much bet within 12 weeks it'll be on sale again. So you don't really need to buy a year's worth of flour. You only need to buy about what you can use in 3 months. And again, limiting our expenditures on things that are probably not as good for us. They might just be more pleasure foods like sodas and that sort of thing. But also bottled water can be very expensive. And so I encourage you to invest in a good BPA-free reusable bottle and filling it yourself. If you're concerned about the water that's coming from your tap, you could put a filter on your tap, or you can get filtered water pitchers. And that's in the long run will cost less than purchased bottled water, which often just comes from municipal taps as well. It's not necessarily anything really special about it. This last recipe I'm going to show you is a way to use up those bananas that are getting a little browner maybe than we want. Or sometimes the grocery sells them for less. These actually, when I went to the market today, were marked down 10% because she said they were overripe. This is still pretty firm banana. We're going to drop a banana or so into the blender. I'm going to put about a, oh, we'll put both bananas. We're going to add a packet of, this is instant cocoa powder that you would mix with hot water in the wintertime.
It's what?
It's cocoa powder. So it's, yeah, it's instant cocoa. So normally you would just add some boiling, add this to a cup of hot water. We're going to throw it in here. We're going to add, you could use milk. Today we're using yogurt, but you could just use a cup or so of milk. I'm using yogurt again because this is adding a little more protein to the finished product. We're just going to dump it all in there. I'm using bananas, but you know, I was thinking today, because I was looking in my fridge, I've got some peaches in there that are starting to look a little brown. And they're still good, but they're just starting to look a little sad. And we're going to drop a tablespoon or so of peanut butter in here as well. Again, for the flavor and for some protein. If this is too thick, we could add some ice to it, and that'll help. This is going to get noisy, so if you have a hearing aid, you might want to check it. I know this one sometimes will this blender will kind of make them go crazy. Is it? It's blending a little bit. Yeah, Susan, could we maybe have a little bit of milk? Sure. Thanks. You could freeze those bananas, and that's a good way. If you buy bananas up and you have more than you can use right away, throw them in the, you can just lay them in the fridge. They're going to turn dark, but the banana is going to hold at whatever texture or that you put it in there. If you throw them in the freezer, it's a great way to keep them. Again, the skin will turn really dark and look yucky, but thanks. But it will hold them, and you can use them for baking, stirring them into cakes or breads, or to throw in the blender. There we go. It's gone. Let's just give it a stir here.
This is interesting. I have never operated a blender in my life.
Wow. So, chocolate smoothie. It has protein. It's got a serving of dairy in there. It's a serving of fruit in there. It's a great way for a breakfast or for a snack. The last two pages I have for you here are some recipes. Some of those we've made. We made the tuna bean salad. We made the peanut butter shake. We have I'm going to encourage you, when you have a choice when shopping for pastas, choose the whole wheat pasta. It can sometimes be a little bit more expensive, but if you keep an eye out, this too goes on sale. It adds some extra fiber to our diet. If you're looking for an inexpensive dessert this summer, the chocolate peanut butter frozen bars. Our pudding, we're just making some pudding of whatever flavor you prefer, laying some graham crackers in a dish, putting the pudding down, more graham crackers on top, dropping that in the freezer. They break apart after they've frozen for a couple of hours, and they are tasty and like ice cream sandwiches. So it's a good, inexpensive, nutritious, because we've got that serving of milk in there. And this recipe actually was developed for diabetics. If you use sugar-free pudding mix, it's a great dessert for a diabetic. have a rice recipe on there as well. Rice is a great food. And what I recommend is cooking that bag of rice. It takes some time to cook rice, but cook a large batch of it, and then divide that up into 2-cup portions. You can put those in a resealable bag. It can go in the freezer. If you've only used water to cook it, then you can use it in a number of recipes. You could stir that into some pudding to make a quick rice pudding. You could warm it up again with some broth just to serve, or you could add it to casseroles or other dishes. But again, cooking in a batch to reuse later. Any questions about the things we made? Any suggestions from you on how you save in the kitchen?
Well, I do very well scanning the top shelf of the store, but I do very poorly at the bottom shelf.
It's hard to get down there.
Yes.
So that's right. The top of the shelf has great bargains. The bottom of the shelf. Ask for help if you need somebody from the store if you need help getting up or down.
Sometimes you can mix leftovers too.
Mixing leftovers, absolutely. When you start with a soup like this, that's a great place to start, or with a stew. Well, I appreciate your time today. Thank you very much for your attention. As I said, there's coupons. You've got the handouts from the Department of Aging and from the Maryland Food Bank. And happy shopping.